Hello, and welcome to a Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness video where today we will be completing the game with the Muk line. And I have a lot of hopes for these two Pokemon because, honestly, design-wise, I really do like the Muk line. They just ooze personality. Okay, my bad, but in all seriousness, I do think that they look pretty cool, and that they'll probably even do pretty good because of their stats and move pool. For base stats, Grimer has 80 HP, 80 attack, 50 defense, 40 special attack, 50 special defense, and 25 speed, and gets access to mostly normal and poison moves. However, it does get a large variety of other types, such as electric, fighting, fire, dark, rock, and all these should help to cover its weaknesses that the poison type has, because poison types can't hit poison, rock, ground, or ghost types super effectively, and they can't even touch steel types. So having access to fire type moves will be very handy throughout the game, and the other types will definitely just help with any type of difficulty it has throughout the game. So with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. Our Grimer in particular has a mild nature, raising its special attack, but lowering its defense. Not the best nature it could have had, but certainly not too bad. Having that extra special attack might help some of my moves do a little bit more damage. And it also gets the Sticky Hold ability, which prevents me from losing my item. Not too useful throughout this game, but it's certainly better than its other ability, Stench, which doesn't do anything in battle and just lowers encounter rates, which doesn't apply in this game because wild encounters are all done through cheese. And according to Bulbapedia, it gets Pound, Poison Gas, Harden, and Disable by level 10. So the first thing we do is level up to level 13 and get Sludge, and we're going to replace Harden with it because the other moves are just kind of better, and usually I like to show off this fight just to show how the Pokemon is going to do in the early game. And Grimer doesn't really struggle here at all because it has a pretty decent attack stat for this point in the game, and also a decent stab move as well. The only problem is that it is slower than basically everything this trainer has, which will always be a problem, because I open myself up to attacks or status effects that otherwise I don't need to take. And after just a couple hits, Horsey goes down, and we move on to the Power Rangers. I choose to fight Green because my type matches up best into him, and as you can see, the Sludges are able to take down probably most of his Pokemon in a single hit. And with that, let's commence just a little bit of rambling before I finish this fight. If you are enjoying this video so far, consider liking, and please put Pokemon suggestions down below if you have any. And of course, thank you for all the support on these videos. I will try to keep pumping these out twice a week, and continuing with that thought, I'm going to try to get out a Thanksgiving video on Thanksgiving. I might end up missing the goalpost because I'm recording this the night before it goes out, so I'll be expecting that video either that day or the day after on the normal upload date. Anyway, one thing I just wanted to note is that Disable is actually secretly an amazing move in this because the Numel can't actually attack me now because I disabled the Shadow Rush, which will end up coming in handy later, but for the moment, we're definitely too weak to continue fighting in this area, so I do a little bit of leveling up, and at level 34, I get access to the move Acid Armor, which doubles my defense, and I'm going to replace Poison Gas because it has terrible accuracy, and I can already semi-reliably poison. And the main reason for this is because I can't actually get past Naps. Besides doing super effective damage, it also lowers my accuracy, meaning that this Disable here that I use to get rid of him being able to lower my accuracy further is not always going to hit, and Disable only lasts 3 to 5 turns, I believe, so there's a good chance that I don't get the full amount of turns I can without him doing it again. And as you can see, the damage I do to him with Sludge is pretty bad, doing only about 1/7 of his health. So I do have to rely on the poison luck as well, and he got another mud shot on me, so I lowered my accuracy again. I actually did get this Disable off, and as you can see, I just actually wasn't paying attention there. I go for Call here to get my accuracy back up, and another Horn attack takes me down pretty low. Sludge to take down the Slackoth, and then out comes what could technically be the biggest threat, and that's the Beldum here. And that's because I don't actually have a move to reliably hit it other than Pound, and so that's why I use Disable on it, and now it's forced to use Struggle because it can only learn Takedown, and struggle does a percentage of your health. I think it's a quarter. And so I'm able to actually take it down with 1 HP left, and we move on to Loverina, the first boss of the game. She leads with a Love Disc and a Beautifly, and because I'm at such a high level, she's not actually that big of a threat. I take down the Love Disc in a single hit. Out comes Roselia, who actually misses a Leech Seed. That's pretty nice. Roselia goes down, and then out comes Delcatty, her only Shadow Pokemon. Shadow Rush isn't really doing that much damage. The Gusts aren't doing that much damage either. Delcatty nearly gets taken down in a single hit. Had it gotten paralyzed, it would have been one hit. And unfortunately, I do get crit there, but because of my level up, I'm able to actually outspeed the Beautifly and win. So we move on to the obligatory Mirror Bee. How's it going, Mirror Bee? Good to see you again. Anyway, we gotta move on to this other Grimer I found. Hello, other Grimer. Goodbye, other Grimer. And at level 38, it evolves into Muk, which is definitely a much needed upgrade because Grimer, despite being pretty decent, is getting pretty weak. So, Muk has 105 HP, 105 attack, 75 defense, 65 special attack, 100 special defense, and 50 speed. So definitely doing a little better in the speed department, but definitely raising those HP and attack stats by a pretty decent amount, and the special defense being pretty good. Unfortunately, with the nature we have, our defense is going to be a bit worse than it is here, but its special attack is going to be a bit better. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be a problem or not, but we'll just have to see when we get there. Anyway, at the Real Gam Tower, I pick up my two favorite TMs, Hidden Power and Protect, and I'm going to teach Hidden Power right away, and that's because our type coverage is pretty bad, only using normal and poison type moves, and our Hidden Power type is what I think might actually be the best in the game, Hidden Power Rock. And at the Tutor Lady, I go ahead and pick up Body Slam, which is just better pound and has the chance to paralyze, and I run into Shadow Grimer, which when I had gone into this video I had considered catching, but at this point I'm way higher level than it, so there's no reason to, and we move on to the second boss, Snaddle. He leads with a Lantern and a Quagsire, and yeah, Sludge isn't really doing that much damage to the Quagsire because it does resist it. I go for Body Slam, which does finish it off. Out comes Lunatone, and a Shockwave, not really doing that much damage. I go for a Sludge into Lunatone, which is also resisted. He gets poisoned. And Fruity Pebbles come down. It's hurt by the poison, but unfortunately it outspeeds and takes me down. Luckily this fight only takes a couple more attempts. I go in with a Body Slam, still not enough to take down the Quagsire. It misses a Rock Tomb though, so I'm able to take it down. Then out comes Lunatone once again, but because I'm not slowed by the Rock Tomb, I'm able to actually outspeed it and use Sludge, and I get a crit and take it down. Okay, well that's very helpful. Now the Shadow Sky's not up. I go for another Sludge to take down the Castform, and then out comes Matang, who is completely immune to poison and resists all of my moves, so I do need to hope for a lucky paralysis like I just got. Confusion really not doing that much damage, but it does have the chance to confuse me, and it hits me again unfortunately. I do get confused, so there's a chance I could lose this one. I don't, but there was a chance. It takes me down fairly low, but one last Sludge takes down the Lantern, and I beat Snaddle. So we move on to the SS Libra, where I go ahead and pick up the move Flamethrower, which I'm going to teach over Acid Armor. And soon after, I get the move Sludge Bomb, which is just better Sludge. And I'm going to teach that right away. And we move on to Gonzap. He leads with a Nuzleaf and an Electrode. Nuzleaf goes for Fake Out, actually gets a crit, not that it really mattered. Sonic Boom, not really doing that much damage either. I take down the Electrode with a Sludge Bomb. Out comes Vileplume. Hyper Beam gets a crit and takes me down nearly to half. I go for Flamethrower to take down the Vileplume. And then out comes Whiscash. Now I don't really have anything to do massive damage to it, so I go for Body Slam. Looks to be a 2-shot. And Nuzleaf actually misses a Hyper Beam. I finish off the Whiscash. Out comes Skarmory. Hyper Beam hits and crits again. I go for a Flamethrower to take down the Skarmory, which I get a crit on. And then all that's left is the Nuzleaf, and I take it down a single hit. Okay, well we move on to the top of the tower, where we fight Gorgon. He leads with a Celio and a Lairon. I go for Sludge Bomb into Celio, and take it down in a single hit. Then I go for Flamethrower into Laron, which takes it down in a single hit. Not sure if I needed that crit, but certainly helpful. Water Pulse doesn't confuse me. I go for a Sludge Bomb to take down the Slowking, which it does in a single hit. Out comes Primeape. And I'm going to use a Sludge Bomb into it, because it has the possibility to do more damage than the Ursaring probably can. It goes for Earthquake, not really doing too much damage. And I decide to take down the Ursaring this turn, because I don't want to be hit by another Earthquake. Shadow Storm really doesn't do any damage. Sludge Bomb takes down the Hypno, and I beat Gorgon on the first attempt. So going to the last area of the game, at 2 times speed, we're at 3 hours and 43 minutes. So if it can keep this momentum going, it could definitely find its spot up in the upper A tier, or maybe even S tier. So we move on to Lovrina. I go for Sludge Bomb to take down the Gardevoir, because it is the opposite gender of me. Confusion from the Gorbis, so I have to hope to not get confused. Another Sludge Bomb to take down Roselia. Out comes Farfetch'd. Another Confusion. Not really doing too much damage though. Then the Sludge Bomb takes down the Farfetch'd in a single hit. And now, just to not risk it anymore, I'm going to actually take down the Gorbis this turn. And then all that's left is the Shadow Altaria, which doesn't really do all that much damage to me, so Sludge Bomb takes it down in a single hit. Okay. Well, inside the volcano, I run into cool trainer Colist. Haven't seen him for a while, but he has a Muk. Goodbye, Muk. And at the top of the mountain, I run into Snaddle, and I go for Body Slam, which isn't enough to take down the Quagsire in a single hit. It goes for Mud Shot, lowering my speed and doing quite a bit of damage. I go for another Body Slam to finish it off, though. Then out comes Scizor. Psychic comes out, not really doing too much damage to me. Flamethrower takes down the Scizor, and then out comes Solrock. And unfortunately, I don't really have anything to hit this very effectively, so Sludge Bomb is my best move. It sets up Shadow Sky because I'm slower than it, and I do over half to it, so I know I can take it down this next turn. It gets hit by poison damage. Shadow Rave doesn't really do too much damage to me, and I take it down. Out comes Cast Form, Psychic, Fruity Pebbles, and this is where I wish I had Protect. Weather Ball, because it's faster than me. I take down the Metang just for the extra experience, but at this point it's basically a loss because I know for a fact I can't outspeed the Starmie. And I go down. So it's pretty obvious, I just teach Protect here and I should be able to do it. I decide to teach it over Hidden Power, and before I head back up the mountain, I pick up another Hidden Power TM for later. Anyway, I go for Sludge Bomb into Quagsire here, and that's because I was hoping for a Poison, which I got. And now that I have Protect, I can just stall it to death. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough to take it down, so I decide to take it down myself. And then out comes Scizor. And even though the Psychics really aren't doing that much damage, because they have the potential to lower my special defense, I do actually want to take down the Metang here. And then out comes Solrock, which once again I can't take down in a single hit. And it's faster than me. But I am able to hit it with a Sludge Bomb, taking it down below half just as before. And then I go for a Protect here, just to stall out the Shadow Sky turns. And here's where I make a very crucial mistake. I'm not paying attention. I go for Sludge Bomb into the Steel type, it doesn't affect it, so I end up taking a lot more damage than I needed to. And Scizor is still alive, so I go for a Protect here just to heal up what I can. Fruity Pebbles come down. But luckily the Solrock goes down because of the poison. I go for Flamethrower now to take down the Scizor. And then out comes the Shadow Starmie once again. Luckily on this turn the Shadowy Aura goes away, so I go for Protect just to heal up what I can. And I get up to 64. I go for Sludge Bomb. I survive at 20. And I survive at 3. I go for Sludge Bomb to take down the Starmie. And then I go for Protect because I know the Cast Form outspeeds me and would have taken me down. And unless it gets a crit, it can't take me down, and Sludge Bomb finishes it off. So that took a couple of attempts, but not too bad. We move on to Ardos, which I suspect it's not going to have too bad a time with. Swellow goes for Shadow Half, a bit unfortunate. And Alakazam takes me down very low with Psychic. Out comes Kingdra. Luckily the Swellow has to recharge this turn, so I go for Sludge Bomb into the Kingdra to take it down in a single hit. Then out comes Heracross. Now, the Swallow will attack this turn, and it decides to actually use Shadow Sky, which is unfortunate because I was really hoping it'd go for Shadow Half again, and it uses Shadow Break and takes me down. Okay, well, to save you a lot of boredom, because this is now the 10th attempt, basically what it is relying on Swallow luck is always a bit of a gamble, because depending on your level or some other factors that I'm not sure of, Swallow either likes to use Shadow Sky, Shadow Break, or Shadow End. It could also use Shadow Mist, but that's only really when it's with the Snorlax. And ideally, you want it to always be using Shadow End, that way it is constantly not attacking you if you can just keep protecting every other turn. Anyway, the Electabuzz used Shadow Half last turn, and at this turn, the Swallow used Shadow Half. So now both of them basically can't do anything, so I go for Sludge Bomb to finish off the Electabuzz. And here's where I need to make a tough call. It's either try to take down the Snorlax in a single hit, or hope that it misses. Luckily, I do actually get the one shot and take it down. I go for Protect here just to see what it's going to do, and it goes for Shadow Half one last time before I take it down. So it definitely could have been a much better fight, but unfortunately just didn't get lucky. I move on to Gorgon, who leads with a Slowking and an Ursaring. I take down the Slowking in a single hit, and then I mess up here and go for Flamethrower into Aggron. Definitely not the right choice. I now go for Flamethrower into Aggron and take it down in a single hit, and then out comes Walrein. And I go for Protect here because I know they're both going to attack me, and the Ursaring actually goes for Earthquake here, meaning that I'm guaranteed to take down the Walrein with a single Sludge Bomb. And then out comes Poliwrath. Now I can't really leave Poliwrath alone because it's going to set up Shadow Sky on the first turn, so I decide to take it down. And then out comes Mr. Mime, and Ursaring uses Earthquake, taking Mr. Mime below half. And I know that the Ursaring won't use Earthquake again because it doesn't want to take down its own teammate, so it goes for Slash, and I finish off Ursaring with one last Sludge Bomb and beat Gorgon. So moving on to Eldis. He leads with a Shadow Manectric and a Ninjask, and unfortunately I am slower than the Manectric, but I can one-shot it on a single hit. Out comes Salamence, who lowers my attack and can do quite a bit of damage to me. So I go for Protect here to not get hit by the Ninjask, and to wait out some of the Fruity Pebbles. And Shadow Rush is actually doing about a third of my health. Luckily, it does look to be a two-shot on the Salamence. I go for another Protect here. Shadow Rush, Fruity Pebbles come down, and another Sludge Bomb should take it down, but I get crit and lose. Okay, well, I tried this battle a couple more times, and this is now the third attempt. And a couple things to note as we're going into this, I did actually use two of my rare candies, and that's because in the previous attempt I tried using Body Slam into Salamence first to hope for paralysis, and then use Sludge Bomb, but it survived with just a sliver. So I used a couple of rare candies just to get me to the point where I know for a fact Salamence is always going to be a two-shot. Now in this attempt I decided not to bother with Body Slam because it doesn't really matter. And I just go with Sludge Bomb anyway. And I'm able to take down the Salamence, and then out comes Flygon. Now Flygon is just going to keep using Double Edge, so it's not really a threat at all. It doesn't really do that much damage to me. So I'm actually able to get a crit and take it down in one hit. Usually it's a two-shot. And here comes the biggest threat, and that's the Shadow Marowak here. It has the Thick Club item, doubling its attack. So when it hits, it does a ton of damage, and I get a crit anyway and take it down in a single hit. Okay, well I guess I didn't really need to use those two rare candies. Lapras seems to be a two-shot. I poison it, so it's guaranteed to be a two-shot. And another Sludge Bomb finishes it off. And then all that's left is the Ninjask, which can't really do anything to me, so I go for Flamethrower to finish it off. And that's Eldis on the third attempt. Not too bad. So before I go into the last fight, I'm going to reteach Hidden Power, and I'm going to teach it over Flamethrower, because honestly Flamethrower is not going to be nearly as effective as Rock. Anyway, before we can get to the final fight against Gorgon, we need to fight the Big Box Legendary Shavolulgia, which seems to be a two-shot. So that's pretty good. One last Body Slam takes it down, and we move on. So Gorgon leads with a Shadow Rhydon and a Shadow Moltres, and I use Protect here just to heal up what I can. I go for Hidden Power, which does one-shot the Moltres. Out comes Executor. Rhydon misses a Shadow End, which is very lucky. I go for another Protect here just to heal up. Sludge Bomb takes down the Executor in a single hit. Out comes Tauros. And I decide to go ahead and focus my attention on the Rhydon now that it's at half health, and I go for Sludge Bomb into it, thinking that maybe it would do the most amount of damage, but it does basically nothing, and it finishes me off from half health. Okay, well, let's see how much Sludge Bomb does to the Tauros. It's not a one-shot either, so I'm going to definitely need to eat those rare candies. But before I do that, I'm going to go to the Pyrite Coliseum for a little TM I haven't gotten in a while, which is Brick Break. And that's because it hits both the Tauros and the Rhydon for super effective damage. So after just a few more attempts and my rare candies, I go back in, and I'm able to take down the Moltres in a single hit with Hidden Power. I go for Sludge Bomb once again to take down the Executor. Out comes Tauros. And Shadow End hits, so I'm going to change my attention over to the Rhydon, go for Brick Break and take it down in a single hit. Then out comes Articuno. Tauros sets up Shadow Sky, so I can't heal anymore, so I'm going to Protect just to stall it out a little bit. Fruity Pebbles Rain. I go for Hidden Power, which wasn't a one-shot a few levels ago, but now it is. And then out comes Zapdos, the only of the legendary birds that don't take 4 times damage from rock. So I go for Protect here, stall out another turn of Fruity Pebbles. And now the Tauros is going to start using Shadow Rush, which really shouldn't do anything. The Zapdos is still a bit of a threat because it could paralyze me. The Shadow Sky ends, so I know for a fact that the Tauros is going to set it up once again, so I get a free turn to take down the Zapdos, and I go for Brick Break to finish off Tauros. So, with that, let's see how Muk did. It beat the game at a time of 11 hours, 5 minutes and 40 seconds, at level 83, with 34 losses. So, all in all, not terrible, but definitely could have been better. And I think part of that was due to Ardos luck with that Swellow. But even still, with the statistics here, it realistically only might have moved up one Pokemon on the tier list. And even then, it's a bit of a close call because they're very similar. And that Pokemon in particular is actually Hariyama, which shares the same amount of losses, a very similar time, and it's even lower leveled, so I think it's fair to say that Muk's a little worse. But I think the biggest issue is its speed. Being only 50 base speed, even with a sizable level lead over other Pokemon, it can sometimes still struggle to even outspeed them. And on top of that, even though Grimer's not too bad a Pokemon because it evolves at level 38, it does actually take a while to get to Muk, which caused a bit of issue in the early game. And the other thing is even though it's got pretty good type coverage, it can't really hit ground types in any meaningful way other than with normal type moves. And while Giga Drain does exist somewhere, I have no idea where it's at. And as for the rock types, it really only gets Brick Break to do super effective damage to it. And while Brick Break is a decent move, it's not really amazing. So despite my high hopes for it, it finds itself in the B tier, which honestly isn't too bad. And yeah, so if you did enjoy this video, consider liking and subscribing. If you have any Pokemon suggestions, please put them down below. And I guess I'll try to get out the Thanksgiving video on Thanksgiving, but no guarantees. And bye.